Oh, you're jumping ahead of Rashi.
No?
Okay, so Shemot, Paragimel, and I'm gonna read verses. Let's go to 13, verse 13 to 15. This is what I'm going to talk about. It says, "Vayomer Moshe el Elohim, hine anochi va el bnei Israel, v'amarti lahem Elohei avosechem, shelachani elechem, v'amru li ma shemo ma omar elehem." It says, Moshe said to God, "Behold, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your forefathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, Ma Shemo, what is his name? What shall I say to them?" In verse 14, Yudalit, it says, Vayomer Elohim el Moshe, Eye Asher Eye, Vayomer Cho Tomar Livnei Israel, Eye Shelachani Elechem. God answered Moshe and said, "I shall be what I shall be." And he said, "So shall you say to the children of Israel, I shall be has sent me to you." Okay. So Hashem tells Moshe to take the Jews out of Israel. And Moshe doesn't want to. Moshe doesn't want to. He's not really all about that. And Rashi, he comments on verse 15. It says, Ze Shemi Leolam. This is my name forever. Rashi comments on this when it says, "This is my name forever." And Rashi says something interesting here. He says the word forever, leolam, in the verse is missing a vav. It's missing the letter vav, which normally appears in the word lomar ha'alimehu, to say, hide the name. It actually means to conceal. Le'alem means to conceal. Ha'alimehu, you should conceal Hashem's name. As you know, we always refer to God as Hashem. Rashi is kind of giving you a source here. Okay? You should conceal Hashem's name. Which name? Yud K Vav K. When we refer to Hashem's four letters, the name, we call Hashem Hashem, right? We never say it unless we're davening, we're praying. Then we mention this name. It should not be pronounced as written, right? This is basically halakha. We say a different word sometimes when referring to this name. We say Adonai, right? And it says lizchor, to remember, or lehazkir, to mention. This is what Rashi says. Okay, he says that it should not be pronounced as it is written. V'zeh zichri, and this is my remembrance. Limdo he'ach nikra. Thus it indicates that he taught Moshe how the ineffable name, which is to be concealed, is to be pronounced. And it says, V'chein David hu omer. David likewise said, Hashem shemecha leolam, Hashem zirchecha ledor v'dor. Hashem, your name is eternal. Hashem, your remembrance or your mention is from generation to generation. So Rashi comments on this. He says, Rashi is saying there's a way to mention me. We hide the name of Hashem, but we don't hide it completely. That you're never allowed to really refer to it. Zeh Zachri, there is a way to mention it. Limdu ha'ach nichra, there is a way on how to pronounce it. And the footnote, Rashi says in Shemos Rabbah, he says that Hashem commanded Moshe to conceal his name. He did not mean that it should not be pronounced at all. He taught him to read it as another name. The term Zichri can also be understood as my mention or how I should be mentioned. This is good for all those sacred namers out there. Okay? And instead of saying Yud K Vav K, we should read it as Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Something with David. He also says, Rashi mentions David. He says, your name is to be hidden. But we mention it hints to Adonai. And this is what Rashi is teaching us. How or when we can pronounce the name of Hashem. So Rashi is saying the Vav is missing, catch our attention. And once that happens, le'alem, to hide the name Yud K Vav K, you would think this means to hide it completely. Therefore, the pasuk continues, Zeva Ze Zichri. We mention it in an indirect manner. So you see the name Yud K Vav K, but read it as Adonai. In other places, we have in Torah missing letters or additional letters that the Midrashim comment on, but Rashi rarely does this, right? He almost never does this. And when he does it, it's not that he wants to explain about the missing letter, because there's a greater question in this pasuk. In order to solve the greater question, he has to analyze the missing letter. In this instance, the letter is referring to the Pashat. Everybody with me so far still? You guys getting what I'm saying here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so actually Rashi has escalated to this. This is an issue of halakha Rashi is talking about. And he is dealing with halakha. What's the law of how you pronounce Hashem's name? And if we use a different name to refer to Hashem, why is Rashi only telling us this now? Because we see the 4 letters introduced way back in Bereshis. Why is Rashi talking about the name of Hashem being not being pronounced, being concealed? Why is he talking about it here? This isn't really the place to teach us about this halakha. He would have brought up the issue back in Bereshis chapter 2. So number 1, why is Rashi concerned about the missing letter? When really he's not concerned from a Pashat level. Number 2, if he's worried about that kind of the shift in the name of Hashem, why doesn't he address it and appears to address a halakhic issue? And number 3, if he is addressing a halakhic issue, why did he wait so long to do this? Which was relevant a while back in the Torah. Number 4, what does David have to do with all of this? See, Rashi gives 2 explanations here. And he says, why did he not just quote the Psalm, the verse of the Psalm? Why does he actually say, and David likewise said? Because usually when there's a reference, they just refer to the Psalm, but he specifically mentions David. And there's another thing. In these 2 verses, in verse 14 and 15, it says Vayomer 3 times. Vayomer, which means, and Hashem said, and he said, and he said, right? Rashi is actually bothered by this. In one instruction, not only that, like it says 3 Vayomers in one instruction, and he said, and he said, and he said, right? And then it says, so if we read verse 14 and 15 again, God answered Moshe. It says, Vayomer Elokim El Moshe. So there was Vayomer. And then it says, Iye Asher Iye. I shall be what I shall be. And it's not I am what I am, what most people, especially Christians or those that don't read the Hebrew, think it means I am that I am. But no, I is Ani in Hebrew. This says, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. Means I will be that which I will be. All right. And then it says, Vayomer, again, and he said. It says, and he said, I shall be what I shall be. And he said, Kol Tamar, so shall you say to the children of Israel, I shall be has sent me to you. Okay, those two Vayomers kind of make sense. But then it says, and Hashem said further, Vayomer od Elohim el Moshe. God said to Moses, but he was already talking to Moses. And then he says, so shall you say to the children of Israel, Hashem, the God of your forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob has dispatched me to you. So does anybody see something confusing going on in verse 14 and 15? Moshe says, what shall I say to the children of Israel? He says, what is his, he says back in verse 13, and they will say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Hashem says, I will be that which I will be. And then he says again, and I say, my name is Hashem. Like a contradiction going on. Moshe says, I want to know what to tell them. You guys get what's going on? Hashem says, I will be what I will be. Oh, I'm going to tell them that? No. My name is Hashem. Which one? So not only that, the Torah goes further and says, oh, this is what's bothering Rashi. You already answered his question, Moshe. Hashem already answered his question to Moses. He says his name and tells Moshe what to say, and it's settled. Vayomer od, then it says, which implies over, above what is said before. Then Hashem goes up above and he says, why is he adding? What is he saying? Actually, it's contradicting. It's contradicting the previous pasuk. He told me the name. He told Moshe the name. You ask what his name is? Should I convey to the Jewish people? What should I convey to the Jewish people? The name Ehyeh. In this pasuk, you're changing that and saying Yud Kei Vav Kei. He says, the name is I will be that I will be. Oh, the name is Hashem. You guys seeing that? So, which one is it? And you say, Zeh Shemi Leolam. My name is forever. Nothing changes it. That's what Hashem says in verse 15. He says, Yud Kei Vav Kei, this is my name forever. Nothing changes. So what's going on? Rashi notices the change, the od, of going on further, and seems to be a contradiction. You gave me one name, and now you're giving me a different name. So what should I be telling the people, Moshe is saying? This is what's bothering Rashi. Really, we have to see what Rashi says in the Pasuk Yud Daled. Now, Rashi is giving you all this commentary in verse 15, but let's see, we have to go back to really see where Rashi is getting all this. In verse 14, when it says, Ehyeh asher ehyeh, I shall be what I shall be. It says, Ehyeh imam betzara zo. I shall be with them during this trouble. Okay? He says, what I shall be with them at the time of their subjugation at the hands of other kingdoms. This means, Rashi says, I will be with them in the time of trouble. And what is Ehyeh asher Ehyeh? It's future tense. Hashem is saying, I will be with them in trouble, and even in the future trouble, I will be with them. And Moshe doesn't really like the answer. He only wants the first statement. He doesn't really want to know about the future trouble. Moshe's not really concerned about this, but the name means I'm going to be with them in the future. But Rashi says, is this a name? Is Ehyeh asher Ehyeh really a name? And Rashi says it's a statement. And even Ramban Nachmanides says it's a statement. It's not a name. And there's a machloket though. There's some sages that say it is, but the Ramban also agrees with Rashi. But it's a statement, a guarantee of how things are going to be. In verse 15 is the name issue. So Moshe is asking two different questions. They want to know what's your name. I also have a question. What should I tell them about everything they have been through? This is what Moshe is asking Hashem. So sometimes Rashi goes to the later point, then goes actually to the previous point. And Rashi sees the story as Moshe has two issues. Ehyeh, I will be with them now and in the future. Moshe is concerned with now, what his name is. Ehyeh is a statement. Yud-K Vav-K is the name. But in the Peshat, it doesn't really seem Moshe is asking for two different things. It looks like one flowing thing. In the Peshat, it sounds like they will ask me, what is your name? What shall I say? That's what it looks like it's saying. So somehow in the Peshat, you have to show two separate points. So from Rashi's perspective, from all three Pesukim, from verse 13 to 15, Rashi is bothered from something far simpler, actually far greater than anything we have discussed so far. So in verse 13, it says, Moshe said to God, behold, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your forefathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Why would they say, Rashi is saying, why would the children of Israel ask Moshe, what is his name? Why would they ask? Don't they know the God of Israel? How does this make even sense? And we see the God of your forefathers has sent me to you. This is what Hashem says. Rashi is bothered by this question. Ma Shemo, what is his name? Yaakov at the end of Bereishis says, Hashem will take you out. This was the one message that was passed on from generation to generation. God will redeem us. What do we know about Hashem's names? What do we know about Hashem's names? Does anybody know what we see different names sometimes in the Torah? What do we know about Hashem's names? Anybody know?
When they say Elohim,
Well,
Elohim is for judging more, and Yukebake is
They have to do with Hashem's.
compassionate.
They have to do with Hashem's attributes, the
His
Midah,
character, yes.
right?
Here in the Humash, can I read what it says? It says, God has many names. Each of represents the way in which he revealed himself through his behavior toward the world. When he's merciful, he's called Hashem. The name there represents compassion.
Yes,
and then
so
he talks about other ones.
exactly. It is relevant to know what Midah, what trait will he use to get us out of, to redeem us. Elohim means din, judgment. So even a child understands when it says Ma Shemo, it's not about, can you identify your God, please? That's not what it's saying. It's a question of which Midah is Hashem going to use. When Hashem did miracles for Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, he used the name Tel Shakai. That was the name of miracles in that point of history. So they want to know, Ma Shemo, what is his name? We haven't seen Moshe. They're going to say, we haven't seen Moshe in 80 years since the last time you killed a guy. Which trait is he going to use? We've been suffering in Mitzrayim. We've been suffering this whole time. Where is Hashem? What's going on? And Moshe's question is, I'm going to have to deal with them. They've been suffering all this time. They heard, and Hashem is going to say, well, guess what? I heard their cries. We go back to verse 7. It says, Hashem said, I have indeed seen the affliction of my people that is in Mitzrayim, and I have heard its outcry because of its taskmasters, for I know its pains. Actually, if you read verse 7 to verse 10, That is the actual mission that Hashem told Israel they were going to have to do. What was the mission? To go to Israel. That was the plan. But guess what? That didn't exactly happen, did it? God says, I'm going to take you to a land flowing with milk and honey. He says, you're going to go straight to this land. He didn't say nothing about sitting in the wilderness for years, building a Mishkan, receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai. That actually wasn't the objection. That wasn't even the goal. The book of Vayikra, some of the sages say, wasn't even supposed to be in Torah. They were supposed to just go to Mitzrayim, go to Israel. So, but some would say, well, but they had to go get the Torah. But it doesn't say you're going to go to the Bamidbar. You're going to go to Mount Sinai. You're going to go receive a Torah. You're going to go build the Mishkan. You're going to do a bunch of sacrifices. No. God intended on taking them straight to Israel. But Israel kept on tripping along the way. They were actually supposed to have the Torah within their heart. It wasn't supposed to be placed in their hands physically. But because Israel sinned along the way, they complained and murmured. They built the golden calf. Now they have to receive the Torah. They have to build the Mishkan. They have to do all of these things for Tikkun. When they were coming out of Mitzrayim, this is when they were ready to be almost elevated. And so anyways, Moshe is saying, I'm going to tell the Jews this 210 years that you've been suffering, Ma Shemot. I'm going to tell them your name. After our children have died, they're going to say, after our children have died. And what is your name? Yud Ke Vav Ke. Hashem says, I am the God of mercy. In Pasuk Zayin, it says, Hashem said, I have seen the affliction of my people that is in Egypt. And it uses the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. What Mida is this? This is Moshe's question. Since Hashem says, you are 100% right, Moshe, tell them, Eyeh Asher Eyeh, I was with them in the time of trouble. While their children were being thrown into the Nile, while they were going through all the suffering and afflictions. It even says when Israel went into Mitzrayim, the sages say the Shekinah also went into exile. It says Hashem never leaves us. Hashem says, I am with them. Tell them, I am with them. And I will be with them even in the future. I am with them in the time of trouble. Rashi says, I am with them in the time of trouble. When I was reading this, this is why I was so blown away. This really touched my heart. This was making me have joy. I had joy all day yesterday and all day today. I couldn't wait to talk about this in all of Shemot. Why? Because Hashem is with us in the time of trouble. Even though it seems he's concealed, he is with us. And Hashem says, I have heard them. I wasn't from a distance. It wasn't like I was far away. I've been with them. And now I have come to rescue them. Go tell them. I was with them in their pain when they felt this. Moshe says, let's not talk about what's more to come. Yud Ke Vav Ke is Rachamim. It's mercy. They will say, we never felt your mercy though, Hashem. We never felt this when we were going on. Therefore, the Vav is missing. It's concealed. Lo Olam is concealed. Because Hashem's mercy is concealed. It seems like he's not here. But it's not about a random letter. This is what Rashi says. It's about the whole context. It's saying, even though when it seems in dark times that we're alone and that Hashem's not with us, he will never abandon us, Rashi says. He says, tell them, I am with them. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. I am with them and I will be with them in the future. No matter what you go through, I will go through it with them. I am with you. My mercy is with you. Hashem says, just cling to me. Even when the times get darker, when it seems like the world is crumbling, even the pain and suffering. Hold on to him and don't doubt his name. He is with us and we cling to him, and he is going to bring us out. He is going to bring us to redemption. Don't follow the world. Don't be manipulated by the media. Don't believe the government. Don't run to them because everybody else is running to them. Cling to Hashem even though it seems like he's nowhere. Cling to him. He says, I am with you and I will protect you and I will redeem you.
Mm-hmm.
And that really touched my heart when I was studying.